All right, so this is Kaladesh Remastered. All right, this is for the YouTubers, also the Twitchers that are here. But WoTC decided that they wanted to release Kaladesh altogether. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go over kind of like the whole set. Not like the whole set, but I'm gonna do the whole set, but I'm gonna go over some cards that I think are really good or that are gonna see play, and then some that I think that aren't. Um, so if it says white, you can just throw all those out. We're not going over them because all of them are bad. No, I'm just kidding. We're gonna go through the whole set, but all right. So WotC is releasing the whole set. They were gonna do like a spoiler season from starting on the 5th, and they were gonna announce it when the set was coming out, but they decided against it. So Kaladesh Remastered will release on Arena on the 12th, and the only disappointing thing, we'll get to it later, but I'm excited. I can't wait. So I pushed my stream, not my stream, but what I was gonna stream for Arena. So I'm streaming Standard this week, and Kaladesh will be on the weekend it comes out. So I'm doing Standard from now until then, because as of right now, Historic is kind of like a whatever format. So, I mean, we all know what decks are good and what decks aren't, but we're going to see what cards are being released. So we're going to go through white, and then we'll go through blue, black, or whatever. So however this goes. So I'm not going to go through every card. I'm just going to skim through. Everyone remembers the other Night or Vampire Nighthawk, except this has Vigilance, not Death Touch. I don't think this will see play. I don't think Aetherstorm Rock will see play. Angel of Invention might see play. I actually didn't see if we'll see if it's in the set. I actually didn't look at the white card, so I don't know if this is in or not. If Refurbish is in the set, this will see play. All right. This might see play. And the reason why Angel of Invention might see play is because it was good with Godpharaoh's Gift. These are draft fodder. This was the worst Gear Hulk ever. Won't see play. This is kind of a cool art for it. This won't see play. I think Fragmentize might see play. Couple of my teammate friends from TSN had said they want to see Fumigate. The problem with Fumigate is it's a 5-cost Wrath of God effect, 5-cost sweeper, and when you're playing white decks, you want your sweepers to be cheap, which is why in Historic, Wrath of God is the most played sweeper because it costs 4. And when you're playing 5-cost spells with Teferi and ECD and many others, you're getting crowded at the 5 slot. I don't think this will see play in so far as if you're playing WoG, you're not playing this. And if you're playing blue or if you're playing white decks and you're playing other sweepers, there are better sweepers than this. I don't think the life gain matters. So I this will see play, but I don't think it's gonna see play over WoG. WoG is too good for this not to, to be like, oh, I'm gonna play 4 of these. You're not gonna play 4 of these. You're probably gonna play like 1 or 2 at the most, and you're gonna play 4 WoGs because WoG is just too good, especially at 4. Refurbish is in the set, so this. You don't have to play Gates of the Afterlife anymore. So Refurbish basically says that you can play Godpharaoh's Gift decks now. And you basically get the old GPG deck from old. So what you do is I foresee this being an Esper list, and what you get is you get what's the card called? It's either blue, white, or Esper, but you get Stitcher Supplier, and Stitcher Supplier just keeps refilling the graveyard, filling the graveyard, filling the graveyard. But if it's blue, white, you're running the same stuff. Champion of the Dusk, or not Champion of the Dusk. I don't even know what the card. I can't think of the card right now. Where is it? Champion of Wits. So Champion of Wits, draw a bunch of cards, discard a bunch of cards, discard your GPGs, refurbish them, and you get that. So, and it's return target artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield. I mean, any artifact card. So you can refurbish a Platinum Angel, you can refurbish a Forsaken Monument, you can refurbish, obviously, Godpharaoh's Gift. So there's a lot of things you could do, but this will definitely see play, and that deck will be good. I don't know if it's tier 1 in Historic, but it's probably good enough. The best white card, however, if it's not refurbish, it's going to be SRAM. All right. I'm pretty sure that SRAM coming into Historic makes the white Auras deck basically tier 1. So it's in Pioneer right now, and it's good enough there. So with a lot less card pool and basically the whole deck in Historic, SRAM basically forces decks to play a bunch of removal, because if you don't, then you're just going to get got by drawing so many cards. And SRAM is a 2 cost, 1 white, 1 colorless legendary dwarf advisor. Whenever you cast an aura, equipment, or vehicle spell, draw a card. So you play Heart of Kirin, you play, because Smuggler's Copter is not in this set. I hate to spoil it for you, but Smuggler's Copter is not in the set. So Heart of Kirin, any type of equipment, and then obviously all the auras, the ones with escape, all that. And then glitter, all that glitters and all that stuff. Yeah, that deck's going to be good. So get ready to see a bunch of SRAM auras in Historic. And I'd get 4 of these because it's that good. But it's the best white card in the set by far. And if it's not this, then it's obviously refurbish. But I think this tops refurbish. But anyways, Toolgraphed Exemplar, I'm not too sure that this is as good, because there's not a the best white 1-drop ever. I can't think of the name, but it's from Shadows. I can't remember the card for the life of me, so I'm gonna go look it up. I think it's in Shadows. Yeah, it's in Shadows. White. Where is it? Where is he? Are you in Shadows? Yeah, Thraben Inspector. Couldn't remember the name. Alright. So without Thraben Inspector, I don't think Toolcraft Exemplar is as good, but this Toolcraft Exemplar is probably good enough, because you get Scrappy Scrounger, you have Stonecoil Serpent, you have a bunch of 2-drops that you can play with this, and there's Heart of Kirin also that gives it +2/+1. So yeah, this will see play also. Those are the top 3 white cards: Toolcraft Exemplar, SRAM, and Refurbish. It's not even close. Like, those are the top 3 cards. But basically that's it for blue. Blue is very underpowered in Kaladesh. The best blue cards, I've played with Aether Meltdown. It's serviceable in stopping Heart of Kirin. but the energy doesn't really mean that much, considering that I don't think energy is going to be that big of a deal. Energy was too good in standard, but if you look at Pioneer and Modern when these first came out, and Pioneer wasn't even a format then, energy was not a playable deck in Modern back then, and it's really not playable in Pioneer right now. It may be playable in standard, or not standard, but in historic. But given how powerful 2019 and 2020 cards in standard have been, I can't imagine that playing energy cards is where you want to be. But if you're in like a mono blue shell, then maybe this is good enough. Interestingly, this deals with questing beasts very well. Not saying you would, just -4, -0 is kind of a big deal. So, Baral might be possible, although not sure. Getting 4-costed instants and sorceries on the cheap, but virtual lightning bolts in the format in the form of Wizard's Lightning. So, plus with Blood Chief's Thirst and many other 1 and 2 mana removal spells, I can't imagine this card being good. Probably a sideboard card at best. This did not see much play in standard, and I don't imagine it's going to see any other play. If you're playing blue control decks, you finally have your card against colorless control or colorless ramp in Ceremonious Rejection. This card might just give control what it needs against that deck specifically. Have like a couple in the sideboard for it. This also deals with Maze Mind Tome in Historic. So look for this card to be playable in as a 1 or 2 of in some sideboards. Confiscation Coup was decent in the Teamer deck. I'm not sure that this card's good enough. Although getting a 4-costed creature or artifact for 5 seems okay. I'm not sure though. Disallow might see play. Probably better than Neutralize or any other. Might not be better than Absorb. Maybe it is, because you could still have this. And then if a walker decides to ultimate, you could still counter it. So this might see play. This might be the best 3-mana counter spell in the format when it shows up. Era of Invention wasn't played in standard. I can't imagine that it'll be played in historic. Glimmer Genius might be the best 4-draw or draw 2 at 4. It was the best draw spell in standard back then. And the only difference is there's a lot better spells now than they were then, so we'll see. Glintnest Crane, it's probably good enough for your artifact decks, your colorless decks. For all those that want to play mono blue Paradoxical Outcome Storm, this will probably be in it. Eyesore, these are all draft fodder. Metallurgic Summoning is basically worse Shark Typhoon. Interestingly, these are only instant and sorceries, but they do produce colorless artifact constructs. But it's only instant. It's only instant and sorceries. It's not. It's not non-creature. So Metallurgic Rebuke might be a card. With this, the old standard deck, you could play mono blue Psy. And then what you do is you have a 1-drop into how do you do it? There's a way that you have like turn 2 or turn 2 or turn 3 Psy. And then you have Metallurgic you go turn 3 Psy, and then you have Metallurgic Rebuke backup with Mox Amber. Maybe it's turn 2. I don't remember how to do it. But there's a way to get it to where you have Rebuke on the same turn that you cast Psy for 1 mana. Because you have to have Mox Amber in there. Not good enough. Not good enough. Paradoxical Outcome. This is what everybody's raving about for the Storm deck. Return any number of target non-land permanent non-token or target non-land non-token permanents you control to our owner's hands. You draw a card for each card that you return to your hand this way. So basically you play a bunch of 1, 2s, and 0s, and then you bounce them all back to your hand and then draw a million cards. There's not very many like 0 and 1 costed stuff. So you're playing a lot of terrible draft fodder cards with this. So I'm not saying it's bad, just there's a lot more stuff to do with it now than there were in the standard format that it was in. Revolutionary Rebuff, Worst Quench, Select for Inspection, not good, not good, not good, not good, not good, not good. Torrential Gearhulk, Fat Caster Mage. This will definitely see play. It's probably one of the best blue spells in the set. So this basically means that you can play any blue control deck because most of your spells that you're casting are instants. So you get this with you get to do a lot with Torrential Gearhulk. So you get to do it with Fatal Push, Glimmer of Genius, Sublime Epiphany, any counter spell, Frantic Inventory. So you just start with the Pioneer list and then you go from there with 3 Torrential Gearhulks and a bunch of blue-black control stuff. And then you go from there. Wor of Invention is something that I wasn't too keen on until I realized that you can use it to go search for artifacts, but usually you're searching, like, when this card was used in Modern, it was used in the Lantern control deck where you're, like, searching for, any type of artifact, and you're using stuff. Improvise as you tap an artifact to produce 1 to cast the spell. So it's like kind of like, any artifact that doesn't produce mana, you tap it and it produces 1 to help cast the X. But usually when you're tapping this to cast it and get X or less, you're usually using this to go find like a winning card, but there isn't very many artifacts that you're trying to go get. Now, if there were like, some of the masterpieces or cards that are in older formats, like Ensnaring Bridge or Vidalcan Shackles or something, then yeah. But because none of those cards are going to be in the format, that this card is just not good enough. So for the blue cards, Torrential Gearhulk is going to see play. It's probably the best Gearhulk out of the cycle. And Paradoxical Outcome. This card's good, but I think Shark Typhoon's better than this. And then Glimmer Genius. And obviously Disallow. Not sure about the other ones. This one's kind of like, if you can make an energy deck, then this might be in it. But I don't think Teamer Energy is just good enough. You gotta play more stuff. Maybe just blue-red. But if you're playing blue-red, you might as well play Teamer because it's just like a free roll. So maybe this is good enough. I'm not sure, though. Alright. Black. Most of the black cards aren't very good. There's only one in particular that I know is very good. This costs too much. You might as well just play Massacre Worm. It's a 6/6. Yeah, it doesn't fly, but Massacre Worm does the same thing and deals damage. Young's not good enough. Here it is. Probably one of the top 5 best removal spells ever printed. Fatal Push. The reason why I would play Fatal Push over Bloodchief's Thirst is because it's an instant. There is merit to Bloodchief's Thirst hitting walkers, but because this, you don't have to spend mana to get the Revolt, is why I would play this over. I I would take 4 pushes over 4 Bloodchief Thirst. That's not to say that I wouldn't play Bloodchief Thirst in the same deck, because basically Fatal Push and Bloodchief Thirst are that's 8 removal spells for 1 mana, and they basically kill everything. So like Fatal Push with a bunch of sack outlets or Fable Passages or whatever, you're basically have 4 terminates, right? And then with Kicker, Bloodchief's Thirst is a 4 mana, you know, it's the same thing. 4 mana Fatal Push. And then obviously it's a sorcery version of it, but it can hit walkers. So, but Fatal Push is great, and if black decks weren't good already, they just got better. So Rakdos Pyromancer shoots up to a if it wasn't tier 1, it's tier 1 again. With Fatal Push, Bloodchief's Thirst, all these 1 mana black removal spells. And this also opens up, you know, Grixis possibilities, Esper possibilities, just blue-black in general. With Fatal Push, you don't have to play as many cards, right? So blue-black doesn't have to play 80 cards, it can play 60 because Fatal Push is so good. Yeah, this card in the format is something I've been wanting for a while, and I finally got it. Now I can just play black control decks, black mid-range decks, black aggro decks, because Fatal Push is that good. Nothing good. Gifted Aetherborn is already in the format. Gonti's already in the format. Glintsleeve Siphoner is a rogue. So, being a rogue and having menace and all that, having the 1 toughness kind of sucks. But if this hits home at least once, this card's probably good enough. It was insane in the standard format with Grixis Energy or Grixis Midrange, because basically it was hard to block this. And when you hit twice, then you just basically get value. But because there's an actual rogue deck, you probably don't even have to. You're probably playing the blue cards. Like, you know, you're playing mostly mono black, but the blue cards are for, like, you know, counter magic, and that's it. You might not have to play blue anymore. You can just play mono black rogues. Having Glintsleeve Siphoner is basically your second 2-drop to Ona's Prowler, or whatever that. What's that card called? Ona's Blackguard. So instead of having, so instead of, like, if you can't go turn 2 Blackguard, you can go turn 2 Siphoner and still have a rogue out and play. Interestingly, Gonti's a rogue. Herald of Anguish was not very good. Saw some play, but Live Fast wasn't. It just wasn't played. The 2 energy and the 2 draw 2 cards wasn't very good. Lost Legacy saw some play, but the fact this is not an artifact is kind of a bummer, and we already have multiples of these. I think Necromancy is probably the best one out of all the bullet cards like Lost Legacy and Unmoored Ego. I think Necromancy is probably Necromancia is probably the best one. Make Obsolete is just terrible. There was a combo deck with Marionette Master, but I don't remember it. But I can see people trying to make it. This card's trash. Mind Rots, whatever. Noxious Gearhulk saw some play, but it wasn't a 6 cost 5/4 wasn't And the fact it only had creatures was kind of a bummer. Yeah, you gain life, so it might be relevant. But that was a half a hydrate. I'll get more water. Shit, for how much Medina's in my chat. Medina might learn how to play Magic here. Kappa. All right. I used to play with Noxious Gearhulk. I loved Noxious Gearhulk for what it did, but the fact that it only hit creatures was kind of it kind of sucks. It is no Grave Titan. That's all I'm going to say. The Menace, but it's... I don't know how good it is. I might try it in some mono black, but I don't think it's good enough. I think you just want something that's bigger than this. Although gaining life, like, I don't think gaining life matters. Especially at 6 mana when decks are trying to kill you on turn 3, 4, and 5. Like, you're never getting this. Exactly. Rush of Vitality, I think, is not good enough. You want it to be 1 mana, not 2. Wow, Subtle Strike was in... That's a reprint? Wow. I didn't know that. Huh. That's interesting. This card's in Zendikar Rising. I didn't know it was a reprint. Huh. Yeheni's in both Yeheni and the Expertise. Yeheni's Expertise saw play, but not as much play as people think. Yeheni also saw play, but the fact that it's a sacrifice outlet and it gives Yeheni indestructible, and this will see play. Although I'm not sure how much play, though. The fact that this says -3/-3 is kind of a bummer, because creatures are so big nowadays that if you're not using Languish or Extinction Event, like -3/-3 is just not good enough anymore. And getting the free spell for 3 or less might not be good enough, but I'm not sure I would. I every time I cast this spell and creatures were bigger than this, I was kind of like, man, if only this was Languish. But we have Languish, and Languish is not even that good. You want Wrath of God or Extinction Event. Extinction Event's probably the best black sweeper since Languish, actually, because Languish was very good when it was in Standard. So. Obviously Damnation is just Wrath of God, but we don't have Damnation, and I don't see Damnation coming, and if it does, that's great, but if it doesn't, we have Extinction Event, which in some cases might actually be better than the 4 mana destroy all creatures. So red, we already have Cathartic Reunion in Standard, so this is fine. Obviously, it doesn't matter if we have it because we already have it in Standard. So, Chandra, Torch of Defiance. Oh, the best black cards, Fatal Push. Like, Glensieve Siphoner is a card. It'll see play, but that's it. Like, black gets Fatal Push, and that's it. Like, there ain't very many black cards that you want. And we already have Gonti and Gifted Aetherborn in the set already, so Lost Legacy is, we already have something better than that, and Noxious Gearhulk is whatever. So, yeah, Fatal Push is it. Maybe this, but creatures are so big, I don't think this matters. So, Fatal Push is it. And possibly Dark Horse Shani. Alright. Chandra, Torch of Defiance. When it was first spoiled, pre-selling, it was pre-selling to as high as $60. And then Chandra fell all the way down to about 20. And then it was used in, I think this was kind of around the time that Jabberwocky became, like, I don't want to say like internet famous, but like nobody knew who Jabberwocky was until somebody, like, it still became like an actual thing. And Jabberwocky was using Chandras in the Marvel decks, right? And all the Marvel decks were trying to just go turn 4 Eldrazi, and Jabberwocky was like, no, you're supposed to play green red, and you're supposed to, like, value your opponent, like value them out with Chandras and a bunch of stuff, right? That was a chunky burp. Yuck. Oh, excuse me. Anyways, this card's gonna see play. I'm already contemplating putting red cards in my colorless deck, because I think this is better than Karn. Not Karn, the great creator, but Karn Sign of Urza. And the reason why is because Karn on turn 3 or turn 4 only gives you a card, but this also exiles the card as well. It does everything Karn does, except this does 4 damage to a creature. And it ultimates. The only problem is that it's double red. But I'm sure we can find ways to make that a thing. Like, actually get Chandra in the deck. But the double red matters. The exile matters. The -3 dealing 4 damage to a creature matters. And even the emblem matters, because it's casting a spell. It doesn't matter what spell it is. You're dealing 5 damage to any target, and it's usually a player's face. This card's going to see play. I don't know how good it is, but red mid-range, this is the card red mid-range wants, is this. It does everything red mid-range wants. Get a little bit of acceleration, and you get a little bit of value while also drawing a card, and also being able to play it, and dealing damage. It does everything you want. So this is going to see play. Probably one of the best red cards in the set. Most likely. Pyro Helix doesn't matter. Chandra's Revolution doesn't matter. Combustible Gearhulk. There was a Mardu Gearhulk list that all it did was discard a bunch of cards and put Gearhulks into play with Refurbish, and there was another card that put 2 creatures into play from the graveyard. I can't remember what the card was called, but you were just putting Gearhulks into play. Noxious Gearhulk, Combustible Gearhulk, Cataclysmic Gearhulk. But this was the one. It's not Inferno Titan, but it's pretty close. When Combustible Gearhulk enters the battlefield, target opponent may have you draw 3 cards. If that player doesn't, you mill the 3 cards, then Combustible Gearhulk deals damage to that player to the total converted mana cost of the cards, or the converted mana cost of those cards. So basically, if you mill over, like if they don't let you draw, and you mill over, say, we'll say a Refurbish, another Combustible Gearhulk, and a Maze Mind Tome, that's 12 damage to the head, right, to the face. Because Combustible Gearhulk costs 6, Refurbish costs 4, and then Maze Mind Tomes 2. Sometimes you just mill over 3 lands and that's the end of it. And then other times you mill over 3 Gearhulks and deal 18 of them. So, this is kind of funny with, what's that card called? Or any of the Eldrazi. Like Ulamog, mill over 2 Ulamogs and they're just dead, right? But I'm sure somebody's going to try to do this. Turn 3, find a way to, like Stitch of Supply turn 1, Cathartic Reunion, or some ramp spell on turn 2, and then Refurbish turn 3. But you can do other stuff with it too. Like, there's the Offspring card from Ikoria. This is a red card. You exile it, put it into play, and then it gets haste, but it's a 1/1, but you still get the effect. And the land's coming too, but I'm sure somebody will try this. I don't think it's tier 1, but it's probably fine. Fateful Showdown deals damage to any target equal to the number of cards in your hand. Discard all the cards in your hand, then draw that many cards. This is kind of funny with Rael, but it didn't see play in standard. Draft fodder. Harness Lightning. There's better removal spells in this, and it only deals it to creatures. And usually you're dealing at max 4, because with Aetherhub, maybe attuned with Ether, but it's possible. But I think there's better cards in this. It is an instant, but it only deals it to creatures. It doesn't deal to any target. So Like I said, I think there's better red removal spells than this. But if you're playing with energy, you're gonna want this. Hijack, we have better stuff than that. Hungry Flames. I don't think this is good enough at 3. Indomitable Creativity. Destroy target X artifacts or creatures. For each permanent destroyed this way, its controller reveals cards from the top of their library until artifact or creature card is revealed. Exiles that card. Those player put the exile cards onto the battlefield and shuffle their libraries. I don't know if this is good enough. I don't know. If there was like some big dumb artifact that you want, then maybe. Inventor's Apprentice might be okay. But there's better 1-drops in the red slot, in the red ones. Soulscar Mage, Gitu Lava Runner, and obviously another card we're gonna talk about here later. Kari Zev, I'm assuming this is gonna see play. I don't know how many good red 2-drops are, but you're not playing like 4 of these. You're probably playing like 2, but it's still good enough. And it's a 1/3, but it's dealing 3. Excuse me. Kari Zev Expertise didn't really see much play. Rampage didn't really see much play. Pia Nalar saw a lot of play. I'm not sure that this is good enough because there's a lot of 3s, a lot of good 3s, and you're sacrificing those 3s to play this. And yeah, like are you playing Pia Nalar over Rampaging Frostdown or Goblin Chain Whirler? Probably not. So yeah. Man, how far we've come with standard cards. Like, this card used to be really good, and now there's, like, 3s that are just way, way too good. Precise Strike doesn't draw a card, so, Draft Fodder. Excuse me. Siege Modification, not good enough. Skyship Stalker, not good enough. 4 for a 3/3 flyer that has a bunch of abilities. There's better cards than this. Yeah. Interestingly, there's a couple of red cards missing out of this. The Brawler's missing. Or the 3-cost energy Haster is not in here. Right? Am I making this up? I'm sure I'm not. Where is it? It's in Kaladesh, I think. Yeah. Lathnu Hellion. That card would have saw play. But interestingly, it's not in this list, unfortunately. Another card that wasn't in was I think it's from Aether Revolt though. Not Lightning Runner, but yeah, Release the Gremlins. It's a card that I was surprised not to see. Battle of the Bridge was another card I was surprised not to see. But all right. Chandra, Combustible Gearhulk, and Karzev are the red cards that I'm looking for to see that actually is going to see play, a lot of play. The rest of them, not really too much to look at there. Green, oh, the green cards. Attune with Ether was banned in Standard, but because of the energy. It has nothing to do with the land. It has everything to do with the energy. Energy is not a parasitic deal as it used to be, right? So, you're less likely to play this now, Although, if you're playing multicolor and you're playing with Aetherhubs, you're probably playing with this just because you need the colors. But I don't think you're going to play this. Blossoming Defense is going to see play. The card's really, really good. 1 mana, give your guy hexproof. It gets +2/+2. So it saw a lot of play in Standard before. And any 1 mana, give your guy hexproof is good enough. Bristling Hydra, I'm not sure is good enough. 4/3 for 4. There are better stuff. Obviously, the counter, giving the +1/+1 counter might matter, but you're not really going to have a lot of energy. It's not like before where you're going to have like so much to do with it, right? But I might be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure the fact that it's a 3 is kind of a big deal. Obviously, it's got evasion with the 3 energy, but still. It's possible, though. Greenbelt Rampager, I actually think this card's good. And the reason why is because it's a 3 for 1. Obviously, the energy doesn't matter, but this goes pretty good with Pelt Collector. It's probably too slow, but it's something to think about. We already have Heroic Intervention. No one cares about Druid of the Cowl. Longtusk Cub in the Abzan counter deck because it gets counters. Nissa didn't see a lot of play. It costs 5. That's the big problem with it, and it wasn't like a big. And if you're gonna play any Nissa, it's gonna be Who Shakes the World, not Vital Force. Sage Lifecracker wasn't really played in Standard. I don't think it's very good. Yeah. Rishkar will see play because it's an elf. Actually, is Rishkar in Historic already? Yeah, Rishkar is already in. It's in Jumpstart. So, not really caring about that. Alright. Rishkar's Expertise saw minimal play. Not very good. Cost too much is the big problem with it. Sage is whatever. Servant might be okay. Not too sure, though. There are better mana accelerators than that. I think Virtus Gearhulk will actually see play in the counters deck. There's an Abzan counters deck. This is going to be in it as a top end, giving all of your creatures 8 counters, if not more than that, with distribution of 4. So, Wildest Dreams saw limited play. It's decent, but maybe as a one of, not too sure. But definitely Gearhulk. Excuse me. Blossoming Defense. And possibly, yeah. And then Longtusk Cub. It's not very too many good green cards. As many as I thought. Multicolored. We have the Dark Intimations. All the boluses. So you can play Bolus Tribal and play Dark Intimations. Although I don't think it's good enough. Cloud Blazer for you Blink aficionados. Blue-white Blink. Blue-white Bounce. Whatever. It's kind of hard to get away from it, but Panharmonicon is in the set, so yeah. Ajani saw limited play, but it was fine. The exile target creature wasn't a big deal because a lot of creatures either had evasion. There was a lot of planeswalkers, so and this didn't really do anything at 6. Like, it cost a lot to get this effect when Yeah. And even the -9 wasn't even game winning. But it's possible. Kingpin was a good blocker. Against aggro. It's possible that it still is. It's probably not good enough though. Dark Animation's probably not good enough. You're already playing Bolus at 5, Bolus at 4, and you are probably playing this first, but you want Bolus out first, so it's kind of a contention there at 5. Depala, this one seems like a dark horse to me, but I don't know how many good dwarfs there are in the format. But if there are a lot of dwarfs, then this might be it. The vehicle thing didn't really matter. I think people started cutting this card in standard because it just wasn't good enough. Like you're paying 3 for a 3/3 that didn't really do much. And that was the end of that. Dovin's kind of bad. It was like the worst Planeswalker ever in standard. Because it didn't do anything with vehicles. And that was like the biggest thing. Much like with Contraband Kingpin and a Johnny Undying, is the main thing about removal in that standard was that vehicles was everything. So like all your sorcery permanent base removal was just so bad that like the +1 doesn't matter. Like you don't care. Like +1 target creature gets -3/-0 and its activated abilities can't be activated. Like whatever. Because the best creatures were the vehicles, Smuggler's Copter and Heartakiran, and you can't interact with those with walkers or sorcery speed removal. So, and at 4 in blue-white, you're playing Wog and draw spells. You don't want Dovin. Maybe in a sideboard, but even then, I've watched I'm not saying much, but professionals have even gotten around the emblem. So, gaining 2 life and draw a card might matter, but I don't know. I don't see Dovin being playable in Historic. I don't think most of these cards will see play. The cards cost too much. Voyager, nothing. Might, nothing. Hidden Stockpile, just a sack outlet. It was playable in Standard. Black-white, Hidden Stockpile, Anointed Procession. That type of deck. And you have Fatal Push now. So, and there's a lot of ways to get colorless. Like you can play this and, get your colorless creatures to be 1/1s and then, play Forsaken Monument and other 3/3s. So many cool things you could do with this, but, yeah. Campbell, very good against control decks, but against the Storm deck, but that's about it. It is a human, though, but not sure how good this card's going to be. It's probably a dark horse somewhere. In sideboards, obviously. Maverick Thopterus, nobody cares about that. I remember when Oath of Ajani was spoiled, and like everyone was like, "Oh my god, Gideon's gonna cost 1 less, and you're gonna go Oath of Ajani, and you're gonna get Gideon on 3, and you're gonna get Bolus and all these Planeswalkers at 1 less." And this card was like the biggest overhyped card in the set. One of, not all of it, but one of the most overhyped cards, and it didn't do anything. Like, it saw play, and then it went away, because it was just to do nothing on turn 3. Because you want both of these, right? And it was like a very clunky draw. So eventually it got cut from all the green-white aggro decks, green-white tokens, or whatever. However, the fact that it says put +1/+1 counters on creatures is relevant in this format, because there's so many ways to get more than just 1 counter off of it. Rashmi is basically when you cast your first spell, you get Cascade. It just costs too much. It's possible to be played now, maybe, but being at 2/3 for 4, I'd be skeptical on this. If it was at 2/4, maybe, but being at 2/3, dying to everything in the format, I'm not about it. But if you can get it to untap with it, It's possibly good. Renegade Rallier. Most don't know what this does. When Revolt basically is the mechanic from Aether Revolt, and it basically, when a permanent leaves play, you get that mechanic. So whenever Renegade Rallier enters the battlefield, if a permanent you control left the battlefield, so basically that. If a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn, Revolt happens. Return target permanent card with converted mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. This card is playable with anything. You can't get back Luris, but you can get back anything else with it. And if you blink it, you get the Revolt. If you blink anything, you get the Revolt because it left the battlefield and came back. So this card's good. And it's a warrior. So if you're playing a party deck, you can get your party back. So like if it died or you found a way to blink it and bring it back, then you can get another party member from the graveyard back to the battlefield for 3. So I'm not saying this is like a world beater, but it's playable. Renegade Rallier. Oh, same thing. Never mind. Renegade Weaponsmith, nothing. Rogue Refiner. This is probably playable. It's a 3/2 for 3. Just draw a card, get to... this card is banned in Standard because the 3/3/2 draw card is whatever. It's the fact that you got energy. All the energy cards were too good because they just happened to give you energy. So it was like a resource that you never ran out of, and you always had it. And you had perfect mana in the energy deck. You had perfect removal. You had everything. So the deck was too good. The mid-range deck was, it should be good, but it shouldn't be that good. The face of the set, Saheeli Rai. If you didn't know already, Felidar Guardian is not in the set, so you can't do Saheeli Cat combo or Felidar Guardian combo, but you can make copies of artifacts, give them haste, exile them at the end of the beginning of the next end step. So I don't know how good this card is in this format, but I can't imagine that it's good. The fact that you don't have Felidar Guardian is the reason why this card's not good. So, and that takes away the power of it. That's not to say that you can't do stuff with it, just you don't get the combo with it. So, I don't think it's playable in the format. There's too many good 3-drops, or too many good 3 converted mana cost planeswalkers in the format for this to be good. And the fact that the major point of this card is to use the Felidar Guardian, and it's not even in the format, then it's not worth it. Tezra the Schemer didn't really see much play. Again, all the removal. It's hard to gauge a lot of these walkers because all of their playing Standard was so bad because the vehicles were so good that you had to have instant speed removal, and the permanent base removal was not good enough. So it's hard to gauge these, but them being 3, 4, 5, 6 is kind of like when a lot of the format is all about can you interact with the battlefield on turn 1, 2, and 3. So I can't imagine that Tezzret's good enough, but it might be. Tezzret's touch costs too much. If it was scissors, like exactly Insult Artifact, it'd probably be good. But because it costs 3, it's probably not good enough. There's better... Unlicensed Disintegration was one of the best black removals, or the best Rakdos removal spells in Standard back then. But there's way, way too many good removal spells for this to play. It might see play, it might not, but I don't foresee this seeing play because red and black removal now is too good, or not too good, but it's very good, and you can do a lot better than an unlicensed disintegration. Not to say this is bad, just to say that there's better cards in this now. Voltaic Brawler, I can see this seeing play. It's a warrior, might matter. It being a 2 cost for 3/2 might matter. But if it ever... Oh, that's not a +1/+1. This might not see play. But it does go good with BTE, though. So, Gruul might become more creature-eccentric, as if it wasn't already. But this going very solid with BTE might matter. Whirler Virtuoso was very good in the energy deck. I'm not sure how good this is now. Like I said, all the energy cards are very hard to gauge because they were only good in standard. They weren't good in modern when they showed up. They tried to play in modern, it just wasn't good. And Pioneer, once everybody figured out what the good cards were, Energy and Marvel just went away. So, Winding Constrictor, yes. So basically, this is what I was saying about abs and counters. Winding Constrictor is basically another Conclave Mentor. So basically, if you get any type of counter on an artifact or a creature, you put that many counters +1. And then obviously if you would get one or more counters, you get 1 plus that instead. So, but this card is definitely going to see play, and it's going to make counters actually decent because now you have Conclave Mentor or Winding Constrictor or whatever. You have 5, 6, 7, 8 now. You have 8 2-drops that give that, and it's a 2/3. So like you can go turn 1 Pel Collector into turn 2 Winding Constrictor, and then you're off to the races. You have that turn 1, turn 2 deal, right? And it's basically a consistency thing, right? And all of your lands are going to come into play untapped, right? So you have that, you have the mana, you have good mana, and you have all the things you need to make the counters deck work. It's going to be there. I might try it out. I'm not a very good aggro or mid-range player for creatures, but I think it's good enough. All right. Yeah. Multicolored, not much here. Renegade Rallier, pin stockpile. That's it. Like, I don't think Rogue Refiner is going to be, the next coming. Sihili Rai without Guardian, it's just not good. Tezra is whatever. Unlicensed Disintegration, Voltaic Brawler, these are all just, fillers. Winding Constrictor is probably the best multicolor card in the set. Yeah, that's all I got to say about that. All right, the moment we've all been waiting for, artifacts. And we first started with Aetherflex Reservoir. This card people were so insane trying to break this card. And, oh my goodness, it never got to that tier 1 status, but oh boy did people try. Aetherflex Reservoir, 4-cost artifact. Whenever you cast a spell, you gain 1 life for each spell you've cast this turn. So instead of gaining storm count, the storm count is life gained. Pay 50 life. Activate. To activate this artifact, you got to pay 50 life. Aetherflex Reservoir deals 50 damage to any target. Obviously, you got to get to 50 life, or 51 life, because if you go to 50 and activate this, you die. So, you die first, and then, yeah. So, I wonder if you should be, playing this in a mono-white life gain deck instead. But the people are going to try this with Aetherflex, or not Aetherflex, but what's that card called? Paradoxical Outcome, and just draw a bunch of cards and keep spinning the wheels or whatever. But this card costs 4. The best decks in the format kill you on turn 4 consistently. So, or they take over the game by turn 4, start turning the corner at turn 4. So, I'm not sure this is going to be good enough. And a Braid's in the format. A Braid was literally why half these decks and half these cards didn't see play. Because a Braid was so good. Because it dealt with everything. It dealt 3 damage and killed artifacts. And did more. So, I don't see this. I think this card's a trap. People are going to try it. I already know a couple teammates and a couple of friends that are going to try this. But it's a trap. There's not enough 1-drops or 0-drops or whatever to make this good yet. But I think you want to be just happen to gain a bunch of life, right? And then just like keep churning through your deck. But whatever. Aethersphere Harvester saw play. It was kind of like your technology against mono red or black red, because you gain life again and it flew. And it only had a crew 1. This might see play, but I don't think the vehicles are as good as they used to be. Because again, creatures are so much better these days than they were back then, and removal is much better in historic than it was when standard was around the last time. People are gonna try the old decks, and they're gonna realize real fast how good Thoughtseize and how good Fatal Push and how good a Braid is and how good like the instant speed of removal is. And then there's other stuff too, like there's permanent base removal that hits everything in the artifacts and the good cards, and that's Skyclave Apparition. And there's more things, right? ECD wasn't in the format. WOG doesn't matter, but you know, there's a lot of other stuff that does. So if people are going to try them, and then they're going to realize real fast, like, oh man, we didn't have this the last time I played in Standard. So much like with Aetherworks Marvel, the card was busted when it was in Standard, and it warranted a bunch of stuff to get banned, and it getting banned. Not because this didn't get banned because it was busted. It got banned because of the playability of the card. Meaning that much like the reason why Sensei's Dividing Top got banned in Legacy, it was because it was unfun to play with and unfun to play against. It wasn't a card that like brought some great things to the format. It was just kind of like a random card, right? So I don't foresee wait, what? What the hell just happened? Sorry. It's kind of a messing my whoops. Anyways. Oh, that's why I'm stupid. Never mind. All right. Anyways, I think Marvel's going to be a trap as well, because people are going to try to make this work, and then it's just going to get it might not be, but it hasn't saw play in Pioneer. Like it, people tried it in Modern, people tried it in Pioneer, and it just didn't catch on, because you got to like go all in. So not sure that this is good enough, because sometimes you have to cast it and then you use the ability to get more energy to do so. But if you got 6 energy, then able to just spin off the top. So I'm pretty sure this is probably not good enough. It might be though. People are gonna try it. I know that's for damn sure. So yeah, none of these cards matter. Module wasn't played. Charger wasn't played. Breaker, Mastodon. Here it is. Beaumont Courier. The 1-cost 1/1 haster construct artifact. Whenever Beaumont Courier attacks, exile the top card of your library face down. Discard, pay 1 red, discard your hand, and sacrifice Courier to put all cards exiled with Beaumont Courier into their owner's hands. This card was insane in the mono red decks because it was card advantage. If you didn't deal with this card, you were gonna get buried, because red decks would just use all of their stuff, drop their whole hand, Hazret you, and just if you didn't get Hazreted, then it was like they have no cards left and they couldn't kill this, and then you'd sack it and draw 3 cards or draw 4 cards or sometimes 5 cards, all while doing damage. So Beaumont Courier is going to see play. In fact, I already theorized a red list that is 12 1-drops with Beaumont Courier, Lava Runner, and Soulscar Mage. And then your 2-drops are Lightning Strike and 2 Karizevs. And then your 3-drops, obviously Annex. And then the rest of it is just burn. Like, light up the stage and Wizard's Lightning and Bone Crusher Giant or Shock. And then you have Embercleave. But this card's good enough. And it has haste. And it's better than a lot of the other 1 red 1-drops. So look for mono red or Gruul with anything that's a red aggro deck. You're going to see 4 of these. All right. Historic's going to use this a lot. And I don't see how no one plays this. So get ready for this card. Chief of the Foundry, meh. Puzzle Knot wasn't really bad. Skygate wasn't really used. Some use Cultivator Caravan with the Metalworker Colossus, but I don't think Colossus is going to see much play either. Dynavolt Tower saw play. I'm not sure that a deal 3 tap for 3 is going to do much, but people will try it. I think there are better cards than this, to be honest, but it might see play. Electrostatic Pummeler. This one's iffy, like interesting. Like just, doing all the one, get a bunch of power and then just like, give it trample and then double its power, triple its power, and then, do a bunch of stuff with this. I don't think we're there yet, but I'm sure people are going to try it. And it'll see play, especially with Blossoming Defense being in the format. But I'm not sure how good, like I said, all the energy stuff, I'm not sure. Because, like I said, in Standard, it was a parasitic mechanic that it was just too good. Because everything just happened to give you energy. But in Historic, where there's a lot of efficient ways to deal with creatures and opposing hands and stuff out in the battlefield, I'm not sure that this will... this thing will die on sight. So, yeah. But people will try it for sure. Figurine familiar, filigree familiar, whatever. You have Solemn now. Heart of Kirin, probably one of the best vehicles out now. Now when the set releases. And aggro decks have, a lot of 3s in their 1-drops, or can get to 3 on their 1-drops. Definitely get to the 3s on 2s. And even Walker decks. I was also considering playing this in the colorless control deck because it's just a 4/4 that blocks and has vigilance. So, Foundry Inspector, artifact spells cost 1 less. The fact that this is a 2, the 2 toughness is where I just draw the line here. If it was a 3/3 for 3, I would say I would be all for it. But because it's a 2, this card just is just like the mirror, the Palladium Mirror, it's just asking to get killed. If you're untapping with this, you're already winning, basically. So, let's see, flying, hope, sacrifice, hope of. Until your next turn, target player who was dealt combat damage by hope can't cast non-creature spells this turn. This card's bad. Implement of Examination. Implement of Examination, sag. You have spare supplies now. This card's bad. Key to the City. Everyone raved about how good this card was, and it never, like, people tried to use it, and it was just too bad because the pay to actually mattered. Bestiarial C play. Card's good. Every time you cast a creature spell, you pay green. It's just another sideboard card for green creature decks. This card's whatever. Metallic Mimic will see play. Name Rogues. Metal War Colossus. I don't think this will see play. It did before because there was no good top end for artifacts, and this is what you have. But for Historic, you got a lot of things better than this. None of these cards see play. The reason why Ornithopter is a mythic is because the art's different. So this will probably be an event reward or something. Paradox Engine was an EDH staple. This card is interesting though, because you can. So basically, you use much like before, or not before, but much like in EDH. If this is in play, you basically don't lose, right? So if you resolve this in Historic, in the colorless deck, how do you lose? Like, you just keep drawing cards and casting spell. I don't know how you resolve this and go off on the same turn, but that's how you would do it. I can't imagine that you would play 4 of these, but I might be wrong. It seems that this card's not good, right? It doesn't see play in Pioneer or Modern, so it's probably not good enough. Panharmonicon, this card saw play in Standard. Not as good now, but it's possible. With the blue-white blink deck, let's play these. You got some good cards though, with Skyclave Apparition and other stuff, and then you can use like Momentary Blink and a bunch of other stuff. Paradox Engine, different card. Peacekeeper, Colossus, nothing to see here. Planar Bridge, same thing. Didn't see playing Standard, cost too much. It's an EDH staple. Prophetic Prism was seen in the artifact deck with the Paradoxical Outcome with Metal Lord Colossus. It's possible that you want this in colorless, but the fact that it doesn't ramp you but gives you color, there's many things other that can do that. Scrap Trawler, modern staple, got Kirkland Ironworks banned. Scrap Heap Scrounger is an aggro all-star. Yeah. The card will definitely see play. The only card that I know of that is not in this, was not in Standard and was a masterpiece is Sculpting Steel. Sculpting Steel is an old card from, I want to say it's from not Ravnica, but maybe that is Ravnica and I'm just misremembering. Let's see. So, no. I thought it was originally from Planar Chaos or Future Sight. I might be wrong, though. Let's see. Sculpting Steel. Mirrodin was the first set it was in. I don't know why I thought it was in the Ravnica. I don't know why I thought that. Anyways, this is the only card that wasn't in Standard that's in this set. And that's some bullshit. Because Amonkhet Remastered had like 10 or 13 cards that were not in the set. Or not in Standard. And got printed into Arena. Sculpting Steel is the only card that is a masterpiece that wasn't in Standard that's getting printed. And it's not even that good. Honestly, you could probably like, um, you can probably like put in your sideboard your colorless decks, but I don't know what you're copying, to be honest. Sky Sovereign saw some play as some tech against mid-range decks. It's kind of like a 1 or a 2 of in the sideboard. 1 in the main, 1 in the side, 2 in the 75. Dealt with a lot of 3 cost or 3 toughness stuff. Solvent didn't see play. The puzzle knots are in. The puzzle knots or whatever. Yeah. Anyways, the best artifacts: Heart of Kirin, Scrap Heap Scrounger, Beaumont Courier. That's basically it. Like, all these other ones are playable fillers, but those are the most powerful ones. And then obviously Marvel is probably a dark horse here, but I can't imagine that it's good enough in Historic. And if it is, well, then they just ban that card too, because it doesn't deserve to be in a format where it's just like this 50-50. Did I win? All right, yay. It's just like a turn 4 flip a coin. Did I win? No. Did I lose? Okay, I lost. Like, that's the way the win rate wasn't insane. Like, the win rate wasn't that big. But because of what type of gameplay it was just like, get this out of here. It was more for gameplay than anything else. All right. So, lands. Aetherhub. This is probably one of the better color fixing. Interestingly, this also taps for colorless. But as long as you get more energy, then you get more colors. I'd play this in my colorless deck if I was playing with colors. And then obviously the the enemy fast lands are in. So Inspiring Vantage, Blooming Marsh, Botanical Sanctum, Concealed Courtyard, and what's the blue-red one? Spire Bluff Canal? Good. And Spire Bluff Canal. The best one is Blooming Marsh. It's all the ones that don't have flip lands. So Botanical Sanctum is one, Blooming Marsh is the other. Those are the two best ones. Because these, they don't have flip lands. But I don't think it matters. But like, decks that don't have flip lands will play these more often than ones that do. Although you'll play these over flip lands. Most likely. Not a lot of them though. You fill out your lands with these because you don't want them coming into play on tapped. So these come into play tapped after the third land. So you play these, right? 3 straight turns, they come into play untapped, and then turn 4, they start coming into play tapped. The other lands that are in, Inventor's Fair. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 3 or more artifacts, you gain 1 life. Tap for colorless. Tap 4, sacrifice. If you search your library for an artifact card, reveal it, put it into your hand. Then shuffle your library. Activate this only if you control 3 or more artifacts. It's whatever. You probably run into 1 of it in your colorless decks. Spire of Industry, pay 1. Or colorless, pay 1 life. Add 1 mana of any color. Activate this only if you control an artifact. So, here's the thing, right? Spire of Industry, Aetherhub, and that's it. And then deserts give you all the colors you need, right? So like this produces red or black or whatever, and colorless, right? Spire of Industry, same thing. taps for colorless, adds a color. If you control an artifact, obviously. Right? So you can build your colorless decks without bad cards in them. So like you don't have to play as many ramp spells if you don't want to, and then you don't have to play as many colorless stuff. You can play more artifact based, and then you have more stuff to play with, right? This will put you only need this once because everything else is a color or colorless. The Abzan counters getting these are great. Boros getting this. Wizards getting this. Like the fast lands are great, and I'm glad they're in. 2 color decks getting basically perfect mana essentially. So like Blooming Marsh, or excuse me. So we'll just say Boros, or you can start splashing colors, right? But let's just say you're playing Boros. You now have flip lands, Inspiring Vantage, and shock lands. That's 12 untapped sources with 2 planes or 2 basics. That's 14 untapped sources, and then the rest is you fill out your curve, right? But that's all set. Less than an hour and a half. My top 10 ish in the set, the most powerful cards are going to see a lot of play are Refurbish. And these are in no particular order, by the way. Refurbish, Fatal Push, SRAM, Chandra, the hell's his name? Torrential Gearhulk. What is that for? I'm not even counting. Beaumont Courier. Whining Constrictor. Heart of Kirin. And then I'll just cheat and say the lands, because those will definitely see play. Oh, Scrap Heap Scrounger is another one. But the rest of the cards are fillers. Like, I don't think they're absurdly powerful. I think this set is gonna have a lot less power added than when Amonkhet was released. I don't think we're gonna see anything banned from this set, or anything getting banned. Like, something's gonna have to be banned from Historic because Kaladesh came out. Like, all the cards that were left out were all banned in multiple formats or in other formats. So you don't have to deal with Walking Ballista. You don't have to deal with Smuggler Scopter or Feldar Guardian, basically. Those cards were conveniently left out because they're banned in Pioneer, and they were banned in Standard too. So Walking Ballista was not, though. So because it wasn't with Heliod at the time. But Walking Ballista was very good when it was in Standard. It was very good with Whining Constrictor. That's probably why Hangerback Walker was left out, even though it was a masterpiece. Like, people are saying, yeah, well, it wasn't in Standard. Walking Ballista was. Well, Amonkhet put a lot of invocations, and they didn't do that this time with Kaladesh, which I'm kind of disappointed. So overall, I'm happy. I get Fatal Push. I get Fat Caster Mage. I get Chandra. I get Beaumont Courier. I get the lands. So there's a lot of things we can touch up here. There's a lot of things we can do, but with a caveat that I'm slightly disappointed that there was some stuff left out that they could have added. And if you don't know, we'll just go with artifacts. in the masterpiece section that they could have added that I don't think were completely out of the question. Duplicant, I don't think it's completely out of the question. Meek Stone, I don't think is completely out of the question. Veldican Shackles, I don't think it was completely out of the question. Platinum Angel's already in. Pithing Needle, I don't think is completely out of the question. Worm Coil Engine, maybe? Not sure. Extraplanar Lens, I don't think it was completely out of the question. And that's just an Aether Revolt. If we go to Kaladesh, see theirs. And that's not a comprehensive list or anything. I'm just like, just putting 2 cents in there. And they put Sculpting Steel in. There was no way they were putting Mox Opal or Solar Ring in. There was no way they were putting Mana Vault. They already have Crucible. I thought that I was thinking Hangerback Walker. It's already in Pioneer, in Magic Origins, so why not put it in? But they decided against it. Mind's Eye, Rings, Champion. Some people wanted Aether Vial. I want that card out of. I don't want to see that card ever. The swords are probably too good. Steel Overseer is already in the format, so there's some stuff they could have put in, and there's obviously other cards in the format that they could have put in. So in the Pioneer format, that's not in, and I don't think they're gonna get all of it Pioneer Masters in the Pioneer stuff. So, yeah, whatever. Shadow Skull Smashing is overrated. Changed my mind. Shadow Skull Smashing is very good. The fact that it can be a land is why it's good. It has nothing to do with it being overcosted or whatever. Oh, excuse me. The Bears lost in overtime to the Saints. Packers beat the Saints. Anyways, that's all set. And like I said, I got some ideas. And there are some cards that were left out. It's kind of upsetting, but whatever. If you want to play the entire format, you go to MTGO. If you want to play staples of the format, you come to Arena. So, but like I said, there's a lot of cards that they just left out. But a lot of the staples are there. So I think they're going to have to do another remastered set after Pioneer. Like after Pioneer Remastered in 2021. Excuse me. So, but for right now, this is fine. And I can't wait until it drops on the 12th because I prefer Historic over Standard. I don't know why. Maybe it's because Standard is just all about who can hit their big haymakers first. In Historic, it's not like that. In the aggro matchups, it is. But if you have Thoughtseize, if you have to way to interact with the format, then you're not just dead to whatever they're doing. Embercleave's not the end of the world because you have so much stuff to do. And yeah, so. Anyways, it is 11. We've been on for how long? 4 hours? Oh. Didn't any follows this time. That's fine. I'm happy with it. All right. You like what you see? Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like the video. You got cards that are in the set that you like, or the ones that I didn't talk about or give much of a thing. Give me a comment on there. Smash that like button, and I will see you in the next video. I stream on Twitch Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I try to alternate by week. Standard and Historic on Arena. And that's twitch.tv/JohnRamosMTG. You can follow me on Twitter at Azrael the Great, capital A1. So capital A, Azrael the Great 1. And I'm not on TikTok just yet for highlights and stuff, but we're starting to do that for the YouTube channel and starting to get that up. So until then, for those on YouTube, I will see you on the next one, and we'll see you then.